Part 1. The Night of Betrayal. The rain had no mercy that night. It fell in heavy sheets over the stone courtyards of Acre, washing blood into the cracks of ancient walls, as if the earth itself wished to forget what had just occurred. Sir Edrien of Valenfort knelt alone in the mud. His white Templar mantle, once sacred, was torn, stained dark with rain and something far worse. His sword lay several feet away, discarded like a broken oath. Above him, torches burned, not to guide him, but to judge him. The gathered knights formed a silent circle, their armor gleaming beneath the firelight. Faces he had fought beside, men he had bled for, brothers who once called him shield and sentinel. Now, none would meet his eyes. A voice broke the silence, cold, controlled, final. Sir Edrien of Valenfort, said Grand Preceptor Matches, stepping forward. You stand accused of treason against the order of the poor fellow soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon. The words struck harder than any blade. Edrien lifted his head slowly. Treason. His voice was low, hoarse not with fear, but disbelief. I have guarded your banners since I was 16. I have buried my brothers with my own hands. A murmur rippled through the circle. Matches raised a gloved hand. The silence returned instantly. The evidence speaks clearly, the Grand Preceptor continued. Secrets leaked, roots compromised. A relic lost under your watch. Edrien's breath tightened. The reliquary was ambushed, he said. We were betrayed from within. You know this. Matthew's eyes did not flinch. Then name the traitor. Edrien hesitated. Just a fraction of a second. And that hesitation sealed his fate. From the shadows behind the council stepped Sir Aled, his closest companion. The man who had shared his fire, his wine, his confessions. Aled's expression was calm, almost regretful. It was him, Aled said softly. I saw him open the gate. The world tilted. Edrien turned slowly toward Allard. You lie. Allard lowered his gaze, as if burdened by sorrow. I wish I did. A sealed scroll was produced. Witness marks, forged sigils. Its false testimony layered so perfectly it felt deliberate. Edrien laughed once. A hollow sound. So this is how it ends, he murmured. Not on the battlefield, not by the enemy. Math just stepped closer. The order shows mercy, he said. Your life will be spared. Edrien looked up sharply. But your name, Math just continued, will be erased. The torches seemed too dim. You are stripped of rank, the Grand Preceptor declared. Stripped of oath. Stripped of brotherhood. A knight approached and tore the red cross from Adrien's mantle. The sound of fabric ripping echoed louder than thunder. Gasps followed. That cross had been earned in fire. Now it lay in the mud. You will be exiled, Math just concluded. Speak of this night to no one. Turn to these lands, and you will be executed. Silence fell once more. Edrien rose slowly to his feet. Mud clung to his armor. Rain traced paths down his face like tears he refused to shed. He looked at each knight in turn. Some stared at the ground. Some looked away. None spoke. Finally, his eyes returned to Allard. "For what it's worth," Edrien said quietly, "I would have died for you." Allard said nothing. Edrien turned, and walked out of the circle. Beyond the torchlight waited darkness thick, endless, unknown. As he passed through the gates of Acre for the final time, a strange sensation stirred in his chest. Not despair, not hatred, but something deeper, something older, as if the night itself had taken notice. Far beyond the city walls, beneath the ruins of forgotten temples and buried sanctuaries, something ancient shifted, a presence long dormant, awakening. And though Edrien did not know it yet, this betrayal was not the end of his story. It was the beginning of a transformation that would shake the very foundations of the Templar Order. Part 2. The Exile of Ash and Silence. He walked for hours. No horse, no banner, no brothers calling his name. Only the sound of rain striking stone, and the distant echo of gates closing behind him. Edrien did not look back, because he knew if he did, something inside him would break beyond repair. The road beyond Acre was narrow and broken, winding through hills scarred by ancient wars. Mud clung to his boots. His armor grew heavier with each step, as if the weight of the order itself refused to release him. At dawn, the rain stopped. A pale sun rose over the land, revealing the truth of his condition. His armor was dented, his cloak was ruined, and the red crossed symbol that had defined his existence was gone. Edrien stopped near a dead olive tree. He removed his gauntlets slowly, fingers stiff and cracked from cold and rain. For a long moment, he simply stared at his hands. "These hands," he whispered, "have defended kings and been judged by cowards." The wind carried no answer. By midday, hunger began to gnaw at him. Not the sharp pain of battle starvation, but the slow, humiliating ache of a man without purpose. He reached a small settlement by dusk, a cluster of stone houses, a shallow well, a few wandering goats. The villagers froze when they saw him. The night, once glorious, now moving like a ghost. Eyes followed him, curious, fearful, cautious. He approached the well. As he lowered the bucket, a man stepped forward, holding a pitchfork. "You are not welcome here," the man said. Edrien straightened slowly. "I seek only water." The man hesitated, then nodded toward Edrien's armor. "A Templar." Edrien did not answer. Another villager whispered, "They say the Order hunts its own now." A woman crossed herself. "Cursed knights," someone murmured. Edrien drank in silence. No one offered him bread. No one offered him shelter. When night fell, he slept outside the village, beneath a sky stripped bare of mercy. That was when the dreams began. He stood in a hall of shadows, not stone, not wood. Something older. Torches burned with black flame, casting no warmth. Along the walls, shapes moved, figures without faces, watching him. At the center of the hall stood a mirror. Edrien approached it. The reflection was not his own. It wore his armor, but darker, sharper, marked with symbols he did not recognize. The reflection spoke. You were discarded because you were never meant to serve them. Edrien's heart pounded. Who are you? The reflection smiled. I am what remains when faith collapses. The mirror cracked. Edrien woke with a sharp breath. His chest burned. Beneath his armor, something pulsed. Not pain, not fear, awareness. He sat up, pressing a trembling hand against his breastplate. The sensation faded, leaving behind a question that would not let him rest. The following days blurred into one another. He traveled south, avoiding roads, surviving on scraps and stolen water. Each village treated him the same. Suspicion, fear, disdain. Once, a group of mercenaries blocked his path. They laughed when they saw his condition. A broken knight, one sneered. No order, no honor. They took his remaining coin. They left him bleeding in the dust. As Edrien lay there, staring at the sky, something inside him shifted. Not anger, clarity. That night, as he bound his wounds, he noticed it clearly for the first time. A faint mark on his chest, not carved, not burned, etched beneath the skin itself. A sigil, ancient, geometric, familiar, though he had never seen it before. When his fingers brushed it, the air around him seemed to tremble. Whispers filled the silence, not voices, intentions, warnings, promises. Far away, beneath temples long buried and names erased from history, something ancient had recognized him, not as a knight, not as a brother, but as a vessel. As the fire beside him burned low, Edrien closed his eyes, and for the first time since his exile, he did not pray. Part 3. The sigil beneath the skin. The fire had burned itself into embers. The night was quiet, too quiet. Edrien sat motionless, his back against a stone outcrop, eyes fixed on the faint glow beneath his armor. The sigil pulsed again, slow, measured, like a heartbeat that did not belong to him. He loosened the straps of his breastplate with careful hands. Metal scraped softly against metal, the sound unnaturally loud in the stillness. When the armor fell away, the mark revealed itself fully. It was circular, intricate, lines interwove with impossible precision, forming angles and curves that seemed to shift when he looked at them too long. The sigil emitted no light, yet the darkness around it bent, as though it was swallowing the shadows themselves. Edrien touched it. The world folded inward. Suddenly, he was no longer beside the fire. He stood barefoot upon black stone, smooth as glass, stretching endlessly in every direction. Above him, no sky only, a vast canopy of slow-moving symbols, rotating like celestial machinery. A presence stirred, not approaching, already there. You carry what was never meant to sleep forever. The voice did not echo. It resonated inside his bones. Edrien steadied himself. I did not ask for this. You were chosen long before you were born. From the darkness emerged figures hooded, faceless, their forms barely solid. Each bore the same sigil upon their chest. They fell, Edrien said, understanding without knowing how. All of them. Yes, the voice replied, because they feared what they had become. The figures dissolved into dust. Edrien clenched his fists. Then I will not follow them. A pause, then a sound like distant laughter. Bold words from one who has lost everything. The stone beneath him cracked. Visions flooded his mind. Empires collapsing under crimson skies. Temples swallowed by fire. Men crowned as saviors, then remembered as monsters. Each vision ended the same way. A choice. Always a choice. The voice softened. This mark does not command you. It offers you truth. The world snapped back. Edrien gasped, falling forward as if gravity had returned all at once. His hands struck cold earth. The fire beside him flared briefly, then settled. The sigil faded, leaving only a faint scar. His breath slowed, but something had changed. He could feel the land now. Not see it, not hear it, sense it. The stones beneath him whispered of old footsteps. The wind carried fragments of forgotten prayers. Even the darkness seemed where, at dawn, he tested it. A stone lay half buried in the dirt, heavy, unmovable to a tired man. Edrien focused, not on strength, on intention. Stone lifted, only an inch. Then it fell, cracking the ground beneath it. Edrien staggered back, heart racing, not with fear, but awe. What am I becoming? He whispered. He did not wait for an answer. By midday, he reached ruins older than any map. Broken columns lay scattered like the bones of giants. Symbols etched into the stone-matched fragments of the sigil. Someone had been here before, and they had left warnings. Carved deeply into the central pillar were words in a language he should not have understood. Yet he read them clearly. Power is never given. IT is remembered. A sudden chill swept the ruins. From the shadows between fallen stones, a figure emerged. Old, bent, eyes sharp as shattered glass. You should not bear that mark, the man said. Edrien reached instinctively for his sword, then remembered it was gone. I did not choose it. The old man studied him carefully. No, he said at last. But the world chose you when it broke you. He turned and gestured toward a dark passage descending beneath the ruins. If you wish to survive what is coming, the man continued, you must descend. Edrien hesitated only a moment, then he followed, because deep within his chest, beneath the scar and the silence, the sigil stirred again. And this time, it felt like anticipation. Part 4. The Keeper beneath the ruins. The passage descended sharply. Stone steps, worn smooth by centuries, spiraled downward, each one colder than the last. The air thickened, carrying the scent of dust, old water, and something else, something metallic and faintly sweet. Edrien followed the old man in silence. The deeper they went, the quieter the world above became, until even the memory of wind vanished. Only their footsteps remained, echoing like distant heartbeats. At last, the stairs opened into a vast chamber. Pillars rose from the floor like petrified trees, their surfaces carved with sigils older than any Templar script. At the chamber center stood a circular pool, its water perfectly still, reflecting no light. The old man stopped. "This place," he said softly, "was hidden long before your order ever existed." Edrien felt it immediately. The sigil beneath his skin warmed. "What is this place?" he asked. "A sanctuary," the old man replied. "A prison. And a memory." He turned slowly, torchlight revealing a face lined not merely by age, but by sorrow. "I am called Malor," he said. "Once I was sworn to watch." "To watch what?" Edrien asked. Malor gestured toward the pool. Edrien stepped closer. The surface of the water rippled not outward, but inward, as if something below had breathed. Images formed. Knights unlike any he had known, clad in armor, etched with living symbols, stood in a circle around the pool. Their eyes glowed faintly, their expressions burdened with understanding. "They were not Templars," Millar said, "but your order was built in their shadow." Edrien watched as one knight stepped forward, pressing his palm to his chest. The sigil burned bright. The water darkened. The knight screamed, not in pain, but in resistance, as the light tore itself from him and vanished into the pool. "The price," Malor continued, "of keeping the world intact." Edrien's jaw tightened. "You said this mark does not command me." Malor nodded. "It does not," he said, "but it remembers what others chose to forget." The visions shifted. Cities collapsed. Crowds burned. Kings knelt before shadows they could not control. "Every age," Malor whispered, "tries to wield what it does not understand." The pool stilled once more. Edrien stepped back. "Why show me this?" he demanded. "Why now?" Malor met his gaze. "Because the balance stirs again," he said. "And because you were cast aside at the precise moment the world needed you unbound." The words settled heavily. Bound by oaths, Malor continued, "You would have obeyed. You would have hesitated. You would have failed." Silence followed. Edrien felt no anger, only grim clarity. "What happens now?" he asked. Malor reached beneath his cloak and produced a small object trapped in dark cloth. When he unwrapped it, Edrien's breath caught. A fragment of metal, not rusted, not polished, perfect. The same sigil etched upon its surface. "This," Malor said, "is a shard of something whole." "A weapon?" Edrien asked. Malor shook his head. "A question," he replied. "One that only the broken can answer." He pressed the shard into Edrien's hand. The chamber shuddered. Dust fell from the ceiling. The pool rippled violently now, its surface reflecting stars that did not belong to any sky. Malor's expression hardened. "They have felt you," he said. "It's the order, and others." "Who?" Edrien demanded. Malor stepped back into the shadows. "Those who feared the convergence," he said, "and those who hunger for it." The shadows closed around him. "Remember this?" Malor's voice echoed softly. "You were betrayed so you could stand where others could not." The chamber began to collapse. Stone cracked. Pillars groaned. Edrien ran. As he ascended the spiraling stairs, the sigil burned again, stronger now, clearer. When he emerged into the daylight, the ruins behind him were already sinking into themselves, sealing the chamber forever. In his hand, the shard pulsed faintly, and somewhere far away, a council convened. A name was spoken, not erased, but hunted. Part 5. The Hunters of the Order. The first sign came with the wind, not its sound, but its silence. Edrien stood at the edge of a ravine as dusk bled into night, the shard concealed beneath his cloak. The air felt watched, as if the land itself had drawn a shallow breath and held it. He closed his eyes, and listened. Footsteps, disciplined, measured, familiar. Templars. His jaw tightened. They had found his trail faster than he had expected. Moved without hesitation, descending into the ravine just as shadows crested the ridge above. Torches flared, steel whispered as swords were drawn. A voice carried across the dark. By order of the temple, it called, Sir Edrien of Valenfort, surrender yourself. The title stung more than the command. He did not answer. Instead, he pressed his palm against the rock face and focused not on fear, but on intent. The sigil stirred. The stone softened, not melting, yielding. Edrien slipped into a narrow fissure moments before a bolt struck where he had stood. The sound echoed like a warning through the ravine. Below, he ran. Tees tore at him. Stones cut his hands. The hunters moved with practiced precision, splitting, flanking, anticipating. They knew him, or thought they did. At the ravine's base, Edrien reached a shallow stream. He stepped into it deliberately, walking upstream, then crossed and vanished into dense undergrowth. The chase stretched for hours. Finally, silence returned. Train collapsed beneath an overhang, breath slow, controlled. He waited. Nothing. No pursuit. No voices. They had lost him, or chosen not to follow. He studied the shard by faint moonlight. It responded to proximity, to danger, to choice, a tool or a test. He wrapped it again and stood, not far away. Firelight flickered. A camp. Voices rose laughing, careless. Mercenaries. Edrien approached cautiously. 3 men sat around a fire, armor mismatched, blades resting easily within reach. They froze when they saw him. Evening, one said slowly. Edrien said nothing. One of them squinted. That armor, he muttered, looks expensive. The leader smiled. Sit, he said. Share the fire. Edrien considered his options. He said, they offered bread. He accepted. For a moment, the fire crackled peacefully. Then one of them leaned closer. You're running from something, the man said. Edrien met his gaze. Yes, the man grinned. So are we. They did not survive the night. Not because Edrien sought violence, but because when the first blade flashed, something inside him responded without thought. The world slowed. He saw every movement before it happened. He disarmed one man without killing him. The second fell unconscious. The third ran. Jean let him go. He stood alone in the firelight, hands trembling not from fear, but restraint. I am still human, he whispered. Far away, within stone halls, lit by dozens of candles, Grand Preceptor Mathjas stood before a gathered council. He has awakened, Math just said. A younger knight stepped forward. Then why not kill him? Patch's gaze hardened. Because, he replied, he carries something we failed to destroy once before. Another voice spoke from the shadows. And if he completes the convergence, Math just turned. Then the Order will face a truth it has buried for centuries. Silence followed. Back in the wilderness, Edrien extinguished the fire and disappeared into the dark. Behind him, the knight whispered his name, not as a curse, but as a promise. Part 6. The second marked one. The forest thinned as dawn approached. Mist clung low to the ground, curling around ancient trees like pale spirits reluctant to depart. Every step measured, senses open not outward, but inward. The sigil beneath his skin was restless, not warning, calling. He followed the pull until the trees gave way to a clearing shaped unnaturally round, as though the land itself had been carved by intent rather than time. At its center stood a woman. She knelt beside a fallen stone altar, one hand pressed against her side. Blood darkened her cloak. Her breath came shallow, controlled with practiced discipline. Edrien did not draw closer immediately. Instead, he spoke. "You were hurt." The woman looked up slowly. Her eyes were sharp, unafraid. "I will live," she replied. "Unless you are here to finish what they started." Edrien stepped into the clearing. "I am not." She studied him, his armor, his stance, the way the air seemed to bend subtly around him. "Templar," she said. "Former," Edrien answered. Something flickered in her expression. "Good," she said. "So am I." Edrien frowned. "There are no female Templars." She smiled faintly, fishly. She stood with effort, wincing. "My name is Isolde," she said, "and I have been hunted for 3 days." Edrien felt the sigil pulse once, firmly. "You carried the mark," he said. Isolde's smile vanished. She pulled back her cloak, just enough to reveal a scar at her collarbone. The same sigil, mirrored. "You too?" she whispered. The clearing grew unnaturally quiet. "They told me I was an aberration," Isolde said. "A mistake." "They told me I was a traitor," Edrien replied. They exchanged a look, heavy with unspoken understanding. "Then they lied to us both," Isolde said. She staggered slightly. Edrien moved instinctively, supporting her. As his hand touched her arm, the sigils flared hers, and it's resonating like distant bells striking the same note. The world shimmered. For a brief moment, Edrien saw through her eyes. A hidden chamber beneath the cathedral, blade sealed in crystal. Voices chanting not in prayer, but preparation. Key pulled away sharply. "You've seen it too," Isolde said softly. "Yes." They sat beside the fallen altar. Isolde spoke first. "There are 3 of us," she said. "Marked 3?" Edrien asked. She nodded. "The 3rd remains hidden," she said. "But when the convergence comes, we will all feel it." Edrien remembered Mailer's words. "You were betrayed, so you could stand where others could not." "How long?" he asked. Isolde looked to the sky. 32 days. The number settled heavily. Edrien removed the shard and placed it between them. It pulsed brighter now, responding to both. They want this, Isolde said. Yes, Edrien replied. And whatever it becomes when reunited. She met his gaze. You don't trust me? No, he admitted. I trust the mark. Isolde exhaled slowly. That may be enough. As the sun broke through the mist, Edrien felt something unfamiliar stir within him. Not hope, resolve. For the first time since his exile, he was no longer alone. And far away, within the deepest sanctum of the Order, a sealed map was unrolled. 3 points glowed faintly, moving. Part 7. The Hidden Cathedral. They reached the city at night, not through its gates, but through memory. Isolde led the way through narrow alleys and forgotten stairways, places where the stone remembered older footsteps than those of merchants or priests. The city above slept, unaware of what lay beneath its foundations. At the base of a crumbling chapel, she stopped. This was sealed before the Crusades, she whispered. They built the city on top of it to forget. Edrien pressed his palm against the wall. The sigil answered. Stone shifted silently, obediently revealing a descending archway carved with symbols no language claimed. They entered. The air inside was cold, untouched by centuries. Their footsteps echoed softly, swallowed almost immediately by the vastness below. Torches flared as they reached the cathedral. It was enormous. Columns rose into darkness, their capitals etched with celestial diagrams and inverted crosses, not in blasphemy, but balance. The floor was a mosaic of stars, each piece inlaid with silver lines, tracing constellations long erased from the sky. At the center stood an altar of black stone, and above it, suspended in crystal, the sword. It was not forged, it was grown. The blade seemed to breathe, its surface flowing subtly, as if rejecting stillness. Runes moved beneath the crystal, rearranging themselves with slow intelligence. Edrien felt his knees weaken. Isolde whispered, "That is Eternum Vigil." The shard in Edrien's hand tore itself free, rising toward the altar. It merged seamlessly into the blade's hilt. The crystal cracked. Voice filled the cathedral, not loud, not commanding, aware. So, another bearer arrives. Edrien froze. Isolde stepped back. "You hear it too," she said. "Yes," the sword spoke again. "You were broken correctly." Edrien clenched his jaw. "I was betrayed," the blade hummed. A distinction without difference. Images poured into Edrien's mind. 3 wielders, 3 eras, each ending in fire. "You destroyed those who wield you," Edrien said. "I revealed them," the sword replied. "They destroyed themselves." Isolde moved closer. "What happens when the 3 marks unite?" she asked. The sword paused. "Then the world chooses." The cathedral trembled. From the far end, metal scraped stone. Edrien turned. Torches flared. Templars poured into the chamber. At their head, Sir Allard. He smiled faintly. "You always did find the hidden doors," Allard said. Edrien felt something settle within him. Cold, clear. He stepped between Allard and the altar. "You lied," Edrien said. Allard shrugged. "I doubted." The sword's voice whispered, "Choose." The crystal shattered. The blade fell. Edrien caught it. The moment his hand closed around the hilt, the cathedral went silent. Even the hunters stopped breathing. Edrien straightened, not as a knight, but as something older, something watching. Part 8. The choice of blood and silence. No one moved. The sword rested in Edrien's hand, as if it had always belonged there. Its weight was neither heavy nor light. It was certain. The runes along the blade slowed, settling into patterns that mirrored the sigil beneath his skin. Sir Edrien broke the silence first. "You should be dead," he said calmly. Edrien did not raise the blade. "I was," he replied. "What stands before you is what remained." The Templars behind Allard shifted uneasily. They felt it now, the pressure in the air, the way the cathedral itself leaned toward Edrien, listening. Isolde stepped to his side. "We don't want blood," she said. Elad smiled faintly. "You always did," he replied. "Just not yours." He raised his hand. Bolts flew. Time bent, not slowed, revealed. Edrien saw each trajectory before it was loosed. He stepped once, blade sweeping in a gentle arc. The bolts fell to the floor, lifeless. Gasps echoed through the cathedral. Allard's smile vanished. "You were never meant to touch it," he snapped. The sword whispered, "Truth is never meant. It is endured." Edrien advanced slowly. "I will not kill you," he said to Allard. "That would be mercy." Allard's eyes hardened. "Then you will doom us all." The words triggered something buried. Visions surged again. A city reduced to ash, a crown split in two. 3 figures standing at the edge of a void. Edrien staggered. Isolde caught him. "This is the choice," she whispered. "Blood or silence?" Allard lunged. Edrien reacted, not with rage, but restraint. The blade struck the ground between them. The cathedral answered. Stone erupted upward, encasing Allard's legs in an instant. He screamed not in pain, but disbelief. "You bind me," Allard shouted. "You think this ends me?" Edrien knelt before him. "No," he said quietly. "Okay, it ends us." He pressed the flat of the blade to Allard's chest. The sigil flared. Allard's scream faded into silence. Not death, but erasure. His body remained empty, breathless, unaware. Isolde looked away. "What did you do?" she whispered. "I silenced him," Edrien replied. From the convergence, the sword pulsed once. Approval. The remaining Templars fled. When the echoes faded, only 3 sounds remained. The hum of the blade, Isolde's steady breathing, and the cathedral's hailing. Edrien released the sword. It hovered briefly, then returned to his hand. "But you have chosen," it said. "Yes," Edrien replied. For now, as they turned to leave, a deep resonance rolled through the earth. Far away, something ancient stirred again. The third mark had awakened. Part 9. The third who waits. They traveled without speaking, not because there was nothing to say, but because every word felt like it might disturb something fragile and ancient that had begun to align. The sword no longer whispered constantly. It watched. Edrien felt it in the way the air shifted before dawn, in the heaviness of silence before sleep claimed him. Isolde noticed it too, though she said nothing. The seventh night after the cathedral, they stopped near a river that flowed unnaturally straight, as though carved by design rather than erosion. Isolde knelt beside the water. "He is close," she said. Edrien did not ask how she knew. The sigil beneath his skin had begun to pulse in a slow, deliberate rhythm, no longer erratic, no longer testing, calling. They followed the river until stone gave way to marble. An old monastery rose from the mist, its towers broken, its bells long fallen. Symbols etched into its walls had been deliberately defaced, not destroyed, but obscured. This place was erased, Isolde whispered. Carefully, they entered through a collapsed archway. Inside, candles burned, fresh. Someone was waiting. Footsteps echoed from the inner hall, measured, unhurried. A figure emerged, clad not in armor, nor in robes, but simple, dark cloth. His hair was streaked with silver, though his face bore no age. His eyes were familiar. Edrien felt his breath still. "No," he said quietly. The man inclined his head. "Yes, Grand Preceptor Mathagis." Isolde stepped back. "You," she whispered. "Shh. You are the third." Mathagis smiled, not cruelly, not kindly. "It was the first," he said. The words settled like ash. "The sigil was not given to me," Mathagis continued. "It was taken." Edrien's grip tightened on the sword. "You orchestrated everything," he said. "My exile, the hunt, Allard." Mathagis nodded. "The order could not survive the truth," he replied. "So I became its gatekeeper." Isolde shook her head. "You murdered centuries of balance." Mathagis's gaze softened. "I preserved the world," he said, again and again. He gestured toward the altar behind him. Carved into the stone were three symbols identical to the sigils they bore. "When the convergence occurs," Mathagis said, "three must choose." The sword stirred. "And if the choice is wrong?" Edrien asked. Mathagis met his eyes. "Civilizations end." Silence stretched. Edrien felt the weight of every vision he had seen, every ruin, every burning crown. "You betrayed me, to shape me," Edrien said, "to strip me of obedience." "Yes," Mathagis replied. Isolde stepped forward. "And me?" Mathagis hesitated. "You were unexpected." The sword hummed low, displeased. "The convergence is near," it said. "Intent must be declared." Mathagis spread his hands. "I will bind the power," he said. "Contain it, as I always have." Isolde shook her head. "Okay. That path leads to stagnation," she said. "To rot." Edrien closed his eyes. When he opened them, his voice was calm. "There is a third path." Both turned toward him. "One that neither binds nor unleashes," Edrien said, "but ends the cycle." Mathagis's expression hardened. "Huh? There is no ending," he said. "Only management." Edrien raised the sword slightly. "That is where you are wrong." Outside, the wind shifted as the river stilled. The convergence had begun. Part 10. The convergence begins. The air changed first, not with sound, but with pressure. Rain felt it settle over the monastery like an unseen hand, pressing gently but irresistibly. The candles along the walls elongated, their flames stretching upward as if pulled by something beyond gravity. Khanda inhaled sharply. "Time is thinning," she whispered. Mathjas closed his eyes. "Yes," he said calmly. "It always does at this stage." The sigils on the altar ignited one by one, casting pale light across the chamber. The stone beneath their feet vibrated softly, like a deep, distant drum. The sword lifted slightly in Edrien's grasp. "The convergence is not an event," it spoke. "It is a remembrance." The walls of the monastery began to fade. Not crumble, fade. Stone became translucent. Beyond it, Edrien saw vast landscapes layered upon one another. Deserts, forests, cities of stone and glassopix overlapping, watching. "Tia, witnessing," Isada said. Mathjas opened his eyes. "All worlds born from the last choice," he replied. "And all worlds that might follow this one." Edrien stepped toward the altar. Each step felt heavier, as though the weight of history pressed against his bones. "You bind the power," Edrien said to Mathjas, "again and again." "Why?" Mathjas' voice did not waver. "Because release destroys," he said. "Imbalance is maintained through restraint." Isolde shook her head slowly. "Through fear," she said. The sigil beneath Edrien's skin flared brighter than ever before. For a moment, pain lanced through his chest, not punishment, but awakening. Visions returned, not ruins this time, but beginnings. A child lighting a fire, a city built without walls, blade laid down voluntarily. Edrien understood. "The cycle continues because no one dares to end it," he said. Mathjas stepped closer. "And you think you'll succeed where all others failed?" Edrien met his gaze. "I already have," he replied, "by choosing not to rule." The sword resonated approval, deep and absolute. The monastery shook violently now. Outside, the river reversed its flow. The sky darkened into a single, unbroken plane of shadow. Isolde moved beside Edrien. "You do this," she said softly, "you will not survive it." Edrien did not look at her. "I know." Mathjas' composure cracked for the first time. "You would erase yourself?" he asked. "All that you are becoming." Edrien raised the blade toward the altar. "I was erased once already," he said. "Kay, this time it will mean something." The sigils aligned. 3 lights merged into one. The sword began to dissolve not into light. The convergence reached its threshold, and the world held its breath. Part 11. The final oath. Silence fell. Not the absence of sound, but the presence of something listening. The merged light hovered above the altar, pulsing slowly like a living heart. With each pulse, memories bled into the air, voices, prayers, screams, vows, whispered in fear and hope across centuries. Edrien stood, unmoving. The sword was no longer solid. It had become a column of pale radiance, extending from his hands into the unseen above. The last oath must be spoken, the light said. No witnesses bound by fear, no masters, no orders. Isolde stepped back. Her eyes shimmered not with tears, but with understanding. This is why you were broken, she said quietly, so nothing in you could cling to power. Matt just fell to his knees. His voice trembled as he spoke. I kept the world intact, he said. I prevented the collapse. Edrien turned to him slowly. You delayed it, he replied, and in doing so, you prolonged the suffering. The chamber expanded. Walls dissolved completely now, revealing an endless horizon of shadow and starlight. Figures appeared within it, faint, innumerable souls of those who had served, ruled, obeyed, and died under the same unbroken cycle. They were not accusing, they were waiting. The oath, the light repeated. Edrien closed his eyes, and for the first time since his betrayal, he smiled. I renounce dominion, he said calmly. I release the knowledge withheld. I dissolve the throne unseen. The sigil on his chest burned white. Bind no future to my name, he continued. I leave no bloodline crowned by force, Isolde whispered. Edrien. He opened his eyes and looked at her. Live, he said simply, and remember what freedom costs. The final words came slowly shizzable, reshaping the air itself. I offer myself not as ruler, not as weapon, but as passage. The light surged violently. The horizon shattered into cascading eco-timelines, unraveling, collapsing inward. The figures began to fade, not erased, but released. Math just screamed as the sigils binding him shattered. No, without the order, there will be chaos. Edrien's voice carried gently through the storm. There always was. The light enveloped him completely. His form blurred, just dissolving, becoming memory rather than flesh. Isolde reached out, but there was nothing left to touch. Only warmth, only peace. The chamber imploded inward, then expanded once more into quiet stone. Candles reignited. The altar stood bare. The sword was gone, and so was Edrien. Isolde knelt alone, not in grief, but in reverence, because she understood now. The world had not been saved. It had been set free. Part 12. The world without shadows. The dawn arrived without ceremony. No trumpet sounded. No prophecy announced itself. Light simply returned to the world. In Jerusalem, the air felt different, lighter, as if an invisible weight had been lifted from the stones themselves. The Temple Mount stood unchanged, yet something ancient had quietly departed. Isolde walked alone through the city streets. No sigils marked her skin now. No whispers followed her steps. The order was gone, not destroyed, released across distant lands. Subtle shifts unfolded. Kings hesitated before issuing cruel commands. Priests paused mid-sermon, their voices softening without knowing why. Old grudges loosened their grip on weary hearts. No one spoke Edrien's name, and yet his absence moved through the world like a gentle current. In a forgotten monastery in the Alps, the final codex of the Shadow Order crumbled into dust the moment the sun touched it. The knowledge it held did not vanish. It dispersed, becoming intuition, conscience, choice. Weeks passed, then months. Isolde never searched for power again. She became a keeper of stories instead. By firelight, she told children tales not of orders or wars, but of a knight who had walked through betrayal and emerged without bitterness. She never called him a hero, only a man who refused to rule. Sometimes, at twilight, she felt a warmth beside her, as if someone stood just beyond sight, watching the world breathe, not guarding it, trusting it. High above, beyond stars and time, Edrien did not exist as he once had. He was not a ghost, not a god. He was a threshold. Every time a soul chose mercy over control, every time power was surrendered instead of seized, every time silence was chosen over domination, he was there, not guiding, allowing. And so the age of shadows ended, not with victory, not with conquest, but with a choice, renewed endlessly by those who never knew his name. The world slept more peacefully that night, and somewhere beyond memory, a vow finally rested.